listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I finally took in a big stadium show. I think this is my first big giant one since COVID. And I gotta say, it was rather exhilarating.
Was it?
I went to see Pet Shop Boys in New Order.
That is a fun double bill.
Yeah.
It was like...
Where was it?
It was at Rogers Arena, which is a big spot. And a lot of people were surprised to know that it was at such a large venue. But I think every Gen X person in the city was there. That's my guess.
I certainly saw my Instagram feed light up with people attending.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And I felt like for people who are New Order fans and Joy Division fans, I guess more in particular, there was a bit of a tribute to Ian Curtis at the end of the show. And they did two Joy Division songs. And
nice.
I had this moment that I was witnessing pop culture history. You know, when you're in a place where you're in the same room as the people who created this music that means so much to you, and you're in the same room, and you're looking around, and the people around you are sharing in that moment. And I went, oh, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
It's nice to have those... I don't know, just like fire up those feelings again.
Yeah, and I really, it is something I missed. I don't, it seems in a way, just the sheer numbers, I don't know 15,000 people, that were all there. I don't know all of them, but for that brief 3 or 4 hours we shared together, we were in the exact same headspace, all of us.
Yeah, I think there is something extraordinarily transformational about people coming together and enjoying music live. I don't think I'll ever take it for granted again.
No, exactly. Yeah. And there was a moment where the Pet Shop Boys, he stopped, or he was going to sing the chorus, and everyone knew it to this one song. And everybody in the venue sung the chorus, and he even looked surprised. Neil Tennant, he was kind of...
Which song?
Domino Dancing?
Oh, yeah.
See, there you go.
Classic.
Can I say it? Watch them all fall down, domino dancing, and everyone in the venue belted it out. And I was kind of looking around again, thinking, I don't know you personally, but I know you. I know all of you here.
Oh, that's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's such a good feeling. Before we went to Toronto, like literally the night before, we went to a big outdoor show. We saw Shaka Khan and Patti LaBelle.
Right.
And we did this like splurgy thing that we had never done before, where 14 of us got together and rented out one of the little guest suites at the PNE.
I didn't even know they had them.
Yeah.
Wow. Neither did I.
Wow.
Neither did I. But we had discovered it a while before, and we were like, this sounds amazing, because it's like a covered spot. It's away from large crowds, because I was at that time really still trying to avoid COVID, and so were a bunch of other people, many of whom ended up getting COVID about a month later. Anyway, but we had like, it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it's like fancy, but it was so cool. Like it was just like.
Did you get food?
You could get food. You could get food delivered. We had like someone who waited on us. You could order drinks and have them brought to the area.
But was it like PNE fair food, or was it like different food?
No, it was still PNE food. Like it was,
But could you say like, I want to order from Curry in a Hurry?
No, you had to order from like the specific PNE like food that was made there on site.
Oh, okay.
But you also had your use of like the fanciest porta potty I've ever seen that actually flushed. It was.
It feels like an
Fancy
oxymoron.
porta potty.
Fancy
Yeah, I don't know
porta
about
potty.
that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, truly, it was like one of those like outdoor toilets that you hear about and you've never seen before. Anyway, it was great, and
But
now
so what did you have, like cushioned seats? Like what was
there was a couch. There was also a bar with a bunch of stools, and then a bunch of chairs that were, and then you were like up at the at the P&E. Again, this is not very visual for people who've never been to the P&E, but where they do the shows, like there's the top of the hill above, like where all the basically like above all the seats. Up at the top there is where they have like 4 special private suites. You were
one
or
of
2
4?
special private suites. 4 or 2, I can't remember. I think it's 4
wow.
actually, because it was like A, B, C, and D, and you can have a 12-person suite or a 14-person suite, and it's like the VIP amount that they charge for shows. It's like that plus like an extra like $40 or whatever.
Oh,
But it's really worth it.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I had no idea that existed.
Yeah. Now here you know. It's really fun, and I highly recommend it. And we just like sang and danced and were ridiculous the whole time, and it was great.
To be honest, when you said we splurged, I really thought you were going to say we got a party bus.
Oh yeah, I mean that would have been a splurge for sure. That would have been a splurge for
I just
sure.
imagined you driving around in
On
the
a
back
party
of
bus?
the party bus with a stripper pole and all
just
of
like
that.
feel
blasting
strongly,
Shaka
like-
Khan?
Yeah.
I feel strongly like I would have somehow ended up driving the party bus. Like that's just ends up my role in a lot of things.
Oh, live shows.
Pet
And I
Shop
wish
Boys
I'd
really
known.
bring me back.
You've always liked them?
Well, so my introduction to Pet Shop Boys is kind of like maybe a little bit weird, but it's through my friend. I didn't really come to the Pet Shop Boys until a little bit later. I was 22, and it was through this guy I met named Art. He was a friend of mine, and he and I became like really fast, intense friends. He needed to stay in the country, and I was gonna marry him. He and I like
What?
Yeah. He and I spent like.
I never heard about this.
Yeah. He
When
and I
was
spent
this?
I was like 22, 23, and we spent like 2.5 weeks just trying to like get to know everything we could about each other so that he could like stay here. It wasn't romantic. We were just really good friends, and I wanted him to be able to stay, and he really wanted to stay. And so we would like quiz each other about everything. He had made me this like incredible mixtape that had a lot of Pet Shop Boys on it. He had excellent taste in music. I'm talking about him like he's dead. He's not. He's alive. But like ultimately, he and I both decided, weirdly enough, that like marriage kind of like meant a little something to us, and so that we couldn't go through with it. And so he ended up going back to Poland, and anyway, he's good. He's fine. But it was a very, very intense, like,
Wow.
few months of friendship together.
Okay, I think you stole all the thunder from whatever it is I
Yeah.
brought to this conversation.
No, not at all. I was just, I have so many good memories of Pet Shop Boys. That's all.
Wow.
Related
Okay.
to marriage fraud.
Bringing it back.
Bringing it back. I mean, the place where we decided to get married was Bonds on Broadway. If you want me to really anchor this in a
Bonton, the bakery?
time.
You can get married there?
Oh,
Bond? No.
Bonds. Oh.
That's where we decided we were having breakfast.
Oh.
And we that's where we were like, no. I mean,
I thought
maybe
you
we
were
would
gonna
have
have your
gotten married
whole
at
like
Bonds.
wedding there.
That's the breakfast
Honestly-
place, isn't it, Bonds?
Yeah, the breakfast place where you could
That would have
like,
been
eat for
amazing.
$3 for a long time. Honestly, you know what? I wouldn't have put it past us, but I think we actually, if we had had our choice of venue at the time, I think we would have gotten married at the Grind because we like spent a lot of time there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, mind blown. Really.
I know.
Like,
I need to think
completely.
about that one for a while.
No, I did not.
Well, you know what? It's a great segue because
My mind was blown in many other ways, too. And
Well,
we have a
and
marriage
whose
segue.
minds and bodies were blown in
Like-
all kinds of ways.
Like the movie we're going to talk about, we've started talking about like a a wedding fantasy, and now we're going to descend into horror.
It started out nice and it went weird. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
and you're listening to Pop This, and we're here.
Woo.
We're finally here. Honestly, we're at the movie that I was most excited about for Lisa to see.
Oh, really? Were you? I'm only excited that this is the penultimate.
Yeah, Lisa, you can definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I'm starting to.
Sure can. So here we are at Breaking Dawn Part 1. And this movie is both more and less than I remembered.
It was more disturbing to watch it for me this time for some reason.
It was
For
very
some reason?
disturbing.
For some reason.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons.
When I first watched it, I don't know, we were treating it as like, as a campy thing, and it was fun and whatever. But this time I was just like watching it by myself, and it was like, this is very harsh
and dark. And honestly, like, you kind of want it to be wackadoodle, but like there's just so many undercurrents of awfulness that it's and I am impressed by the makeup job that they did with making Bella gaunt, because it was truly terrifying.
I thought she looked like a 1950s alien.
Yeah, it was. Did you not buy it, or were you creeped out by it?
I have to say that if there was one word to describe my feelings in watching this movie, it's nausea.
Oh.
I felt nauseous from the very beginning of this movie till the very end of this movie.
For very different reasons,
For
right?
just waves and waves of nausea passing over me for all kinds of different reasons. And then finally at the ending, just almost like I'd swallowed a hairball. I felt so sick.
Wow.
But then,
Wow.
then Martin Sheen.
Did you stay for the post credits, Lisa?
No.
Oh
no!
No.
There's a small post credits scene with Michael Sheen, not Martin Sheen, but
Martin
Michael
Sheen.
Sheen.
No, I didn't know. What did I miss?
Oh, our pal Michael Sheen shows up in the post credits scene for a minute.
Yeah.
How does everyone?
I thought that would have
that?
redeemed things somewhat for you at the end.
How am I supposed to know that?
That's sad.
I mean, I understand completely, like, because I was tempted to turn it off right away as well. But if you make it through 30 seconds of the credits, they actually serve it up pretty quickly.
Oh, well, there was no way I was staying any longer. So
I understand.
yeah, I was thrilled when I finally just saw Bella open her creepy eyes. And I was like, yes.
I'm out of here.
I'm out. I'm done.
Well, I mean, at the very least, if you do decide to go back and watch the end credit, it's, you don't have to watch the rest of the film. You have...
Oh, I'll do it now, but...
The freedom of Netflix will release you from your obligation.
Does it make you more like, oh, I'm going to be sick? Or...
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It just kind of sets up the last movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like,
all right.
I mean, he's fun. So...
I'll dip back in again.
So, yeah, like, just to reiterate for everybody listening, we are going through the Twilight series in the run-up to Halloween, and we are on Breaking Dawn Part 1, and this is, like, we're getting to the horror part of this series, and why it was, like, it's very, very fit for Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, it also is, like, just a literal horror of its assault on feminism.
Yes.
And so I know that normally, like, I would maybe like do this later, but is it okay if I share a portion of my review from 2011?
Yes, go for it. But I was also going to add its assault on, like, the Quileute indigenous nations stories
huge.
and culture, along with feminism.
And just
absolutely
Lisa's entire stomach. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
So I will say that this review is from 2011. I might have phrased things differently now in my 2022 self, but I will pick up in the middle of the review. As usual, author Stephanie Meyer and screenwriter Melissa Rosenberg keep punching feminism in its baby maker with Bella's quote-unquote empowerment. When Edward balks at turning her into a vampire, she insists, saying, "Hopefully in a year, I'm going to look in the mirror and see someone like you." Then she literally has to cry and beg him to have sex with her on their honeymoon, stating she likes how he accidentally hurts her with his vampire strength. And finally, she argues that if her demon fetus kills her, it will be worth it, basically because abortion is wrong, no matter how viciously Edward and Jacob spit out terse sentiments like, get it out. You think I could ever love it? I hate it. And honestly, that's even without going into the absolutely ridiculous sanctioned pedophilia subplot that has Jacob, the new alpha wolf, you know he's a grown-up because he has stubble now, who charges in to kill Bella's half-blood newborn and then imprints on her, forecasting a creepy future where she looks exactly like her mother and has no choice but to accept her fate as the intended vamp-human hybrid of a wolf-human. Yep. Enjoy.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Well done.
Did you end all those reviews with, yep, enjoy?
Yep, enjoy. I should have. I could have. AG, do you want to do the background?
Sure. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 is an American romantic fantasy horror film directed by Bill Condon, based on the 2008 novel of the same name by Stephanie Meyer. Constituting the first of a two-part adaptation of the novel, the film serves as the fourth and penultimate installment in the Twilight Saga film series and the Twilight Saga. Although negatively reviewed by critics, the film is commercially successful, having grossed over $712 million
A staggering number
at the box office, and was followed by Breaking Dawn Part 2 in 2012. Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, and Taylor Lautner reprised their roles. So, do you think that Taylor Lautner made as much or near as much money as the main two characters? And like maybe he's just retired and that's why we don't see him anymore?
No, I don't think so, because I think he's the one who's keeping like Twilight cons alive, because Kirsten and Robert aren't showing up to Twilight cons, but I bet Taylor Lautner makes some sweet coin on autographs at Twilight cons.
Well, so that reminds me, I went to Rambo Fest.
Oh, yes.
In Mission a couple of weeks ago.
Hope
a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, there was like a minor character from the movie there signing autographs in a tent. And there was people waiting to have things signed.
People will pay so much money. Like, I've gone to a few different Comic-Cons over the years with Carlos, and like he used to do some work with Top Shelf Comics, and we would go to Emerald City, and they would have like Autograph Alley basically, and people wouldn't go and sign all day. But one time I got to use the bathroom with oh God, what's her name? The woman who plays the mom in Back to the Future. You know.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Leah, whatever her name is. Anyway,
Thompson.
Leah Thompson, thank you. Yeah, she and I got to use the bathroom at the same time. She was so obviously horrified to be there. But she was making, I think, like, I mean, obviously the Comic-Con would take a cut, but she was making like $100 an autograph.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the episodes of Schitt's Creek? Where Moira goes
probably
to a like soap opera con?
Oh, yeah.
And she realizes this
like,
is a way that she can make some extra money, and she's at first a little bit sheepish about it, but then when she discovers exactly how much money she can make, she's in there.
There is wild money to be made in a lot of that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Grab that cash if you can.
I bought a bottle of Skinny Girl Margarita just so I could get Bethany Frankel from The Real Housewives of New York to sign it. So
see? There you go.
That's something I've done. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, I think Taylor Lautner's fine. Like, I don't think he got paid as much as the other two at all, because I just don't think he could.
The saga would be nothing. Like, I mean, it has to be that love triangle. So.
Oh, you know what's interesting though? I mean, I think they could have recast him, and like whatever people might have had a small fit, but we saw that they recast red-haired vampire, and you know, no one cared that much. But I was reading Anna Kendrick has recently talked about her time filming Twilight, and they accommodated her schedule to shoot up in the air. but
That was at the same time?
While she was
Wow.
filming, she won an Oscar while she was also still filming Twilight stuff.
Won an Oscar or a nomination?
It's a nomination.
Yeah,
You're right. Sorry.
yeah.
She was nominated while she was shooting it while filming New Moon. They rearranged a lot of scheduling stuff. It would have been a real dick move, but legally they had the right to stop me from doing Up in the Air. So shout out to those guys.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what happens too from like the beginning, you don't know whose careers are going to take off. You really don't know. And then all of a sudden it does. And it obviously makes sense to a certain degree accommodate it, because that's going to make your other film, more people will want to see it as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that is good to know.
Wild though, right?
It is. It's good to know that it's not all as terrible as it was to watch it. So there's that.
Does someone want to read the synopsis?
Sure, I
Go ahead,
can.
yeah.
Nobody?
Since I can't breathe.
Lisa, I know you're not feeling well,
Yeah.
so I will. Yeah. In the highly anticipated next chapter, okay, and I gotta preface this by saying this synopsis is written by Summit Entertainment, who makes the film. So just understand that that's
I
what you're
couldn't
hearing
find
in
a
this
good
moment.
short synopsis.
I
Every
understand
synopsis
completely.
is like 1,000 words long.
No, I understand completely. In the highly anticipated next chapter of the blockbuster Twilight Saga, newfound married bliss of Bella Swan and vampire Edward Cullen is cut short when a series of betrayals and misfortunes threatens to destroy their world. I mean, that's a weird pregnancy announcement, but I love it. After their wedding, Bella and Edward travel to Rio de Janeiro for their honeymoon, where they finally give in to their passions. Bella soon discovers she's pregnant, and during a nearly fatal childbirth, Edward finally fulfills her wish to become immortal. Did you like it best when he chewed her open to pull out the fetus, or when he bit her in strategic places after? Like, which one?
She had so much body damage at that point.
Her legs look like little toothpicks too. It
But
was
her bones are broken.
When she bent in half when she went into labor, I thought, wow. Anyway, the arrival of their remarkable daughter Renesmee sets in motion a perilous chain of events that pits the Cullens and their allies against the Volturi, the fearsome council of vampire leaders, setting the stage for an all-out battle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's what I watched.
I refuse to read the final line. I'm just opting out. I won't call this romantic.
Yeah, no.
It's not romantic.
It was not romantic. And we didn't we're focusing on how horrible and like horribly sick and skeleton like Bella got pregnant, but we're not even talking about all the bruises on her honeymoon. I mean, how was that not shocking?
Yeah,
I think we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there. I mean, truly, honestly, I know that I had sold it as this is the one where they finally go to Bone Town. And I feel that I delivered, but I didn't fully express that it was like breaking Bone Town. I did not remember the aftermath of like having to look at a horribly bruised woman, and her husband is, rightfully horrified that he has done this to her, and then have it positioned as her soothing him and pleading with him to understand that she likes these, she doesn't mind the bruises because the act of getting them was so good for her, and having to try to trick him and beg him to have sex with her again. It is horrifying.
It is. It was absolutely. I thought I couldn't be watching this. I thought this can't be the same movie that I started with. It was so horrific and so depressing, and that, I don't want to say anything further. I was just I was disappointed. That's what happened to me. I became disappointed in the movie for wanting to show that. I don't know what the book was like. I don't know if it said Bella is now covered in bruises from their lovemaking or whatever. I don't know, but I really thought that was quite horrifying.
Agreed,
it was awful. Sorry, AG, I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just, I mean, that was the major, like it just, the movie, like Lisa was saying, like just hits you from all different directions of being like horrible, sad, and also just like it not making any sense whatsoever, and punching feminism in the guts.
Yeah.
It's all that.
When we get the wedding, the actual wedding, not the nightmare wedding, which the nightmare wedding, they really, like, they cheaped out on that dress. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
The real wedding itself, the dress, I thought it was fine. But when we have to watch her walk down the aisle initially, it is like she took Edward's place from the first movie, where she can't stand the smell of what's happening.
Yeah.
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 And she
That is
looks,
a weird scene.
She looks so not nervous, she looks so terrified of what's about to happen. And even when they give this moment where, like, you're supposed to think that she sees Edward and suddenly she's happy, like, I love Kristen Stewart. I think she does good work. But she forgot to tell her face that she's supposed to be happy in this moment. Like, I don't know in the chain of events if she and Robert had already had an ugly, awkward breakup wherein she had cheated on him with the director of her next film, or if they're still together at this point, or maybe they were in some kind of in-between state. But yikes.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of most depressing weddings, in movies, this has got to be up there in the top 5. I mean, it really was bleak. Down to her parents just going, why is our 18-year-old daughter marrying this man? Like, this is beyond weird. And why are these strange people here having all these fights? And why is Taylor Lautner at the wedding? Like,
why? I would argue, why is he in this entire movie? He should be like, okay, you guys are getting married, I'm out.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a third wheel here. I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah.
He shows up. He not only shows up to their wedding, he like kind of grills them about what their sex on their honeymoon night is going to be like, which is like.
So I know
that's not something you do, and like his trajectory through this whole movie is also a horror show, because he has to like help Bella birth this what he calls like demon baby,
and lie to his people
there for the whole thing.
To save her
and he has
for
to
some reason
go against his pack.
Yeah,
he has and then imprints like Jacob is the worst storyline.
The imprinting, like the only thing I could think of now, like 11 years after having seen it for the first time, is that they sold it. I understood it better this time, is that the imprinting means that the wolf pack can't kill Renesmee, but the way that they frame it is that like somehow Edward and Bella are meant to be grateful that this man who has been vying for Bella's love is now just gonna put that right on that baby. And then what? Like, does the baby grow faster because like they're a vampire, and then they stay suddenly 18 forever so that
her
it's
pregnancy
not weird?
Was very like super accelerated, right?
Oh, super accelerated. Like,
yeah.
I just like I don't understand and I don't understand, like, because specifically he says when he imprints, they repeat his monologue about caring for this other person like a brother and a friend, but they don't go to like the romantic partner of it all. And I appreciate that, because it's a fake weird baby, but like that's the implication, is that like he's seeing into the future where he's gonna finally get the love of his life. He just has to literally wait for her to grow up. Like, this is such grooming ideology, and it's so gross.
Yeah. I mean, do the books end with Breaking Dawn, or like, is there another? Does Stephanie Meyer ever like write like a what happens in the future?
But the book was
Story?
split into two just to make more money, right?
The film splits the book into two. I don't know if she ever writes like sequels to Beyond Breaking Dawn. I have no idea.
And I just always also say it's the details of this film that I found particularly weird. Like some of the smaller things, like this very peculiar scene that when Edward says he wants to go swimming, and we have to see this montage of her shaving her legs. Like, what was that about? I mean, there's grooming specifically, and then there's just literally grooming.
Yeah.
And then when she decides that she's a bit peckish, she goes into the fridge and takes out like a pound of chicken. Like, it was so strange. Was that supposed to be indicating that she was starting to
pregnant? Yeah.
Well, then she barfs it all up, but it was just watching her fry up this chicken.
I know.
Was just a creepy, boring scene.
Yeah, but also like, why did they choose to go to Brazil for their honeymoon? Because aren't vampires supposed to like his skin
glisten
doesn't
like diamonds?
Yeah, his skin doesn't glisten the whole time he's there. In fact, it looks like he got some sun. Like he's got some color in his face when they're in Brazil. They're hanging out on the beach in the sun all the time.
I like that he comes over to her on the wedding night and is all like, yeah, maybe I should tell you some things I did in the past. Like, really, I killed a lot of people. And so anyway, just thought I'd let you know before our wedding.
Yeah, that's a real BT dubs.
Yeah.
I saved this information for you.
Yeah. I just like with her going, well, nothing's going to dissuade me. Really? Because that sounds like a good reason. Like, that sounds really bad.
But like, it's yet again her being like, yeah, but you probably actually saved so many women because they would have killed so many more people. Like, she is her only position in life is to just like, just
be an Edward apologist.
An Edward apologist, and like just turning Edward's lemons into lemonade all the time. Like
it got a bit tiresome that no matter what that man said, or vampire, sorry.
Did you find it so like, in general, this movie, this franchise, I don't think treats any of its women characters that well. I have found the like ongoing sort of like character of Bella's mother to be just she's
a waste of space.
A waste of space. She's relatively consistent though. Like, I mean, that's good. But like, she performs a song at the wedding, like a lullaby, it sounds like. But also like just Bella's father gets to just make like a weird like, you're an old person joke to her. And I don't know.
What was
I found
that?
all that kind of like gross too. Like the details of it are just like bleh.
Yeah, the details, the whole thing. The cheap shoes she's learning to walk in, the weird guest list, the hanging out in the woods, the whole thing. I mean, I'm just with her dad. He was probably like, this is the worst wedding I've ever been to. This is probably like the worst.
Giving her whole life over to the Cullens. Like she doesn't utilize any of her own family or friends for support systems. She calls Rosalie because apparently she knows Rosalie is as anti-abortion as she is, as it turns out. She like has Alice do everything for her. And it's, they get her ready. They like take over her life over and over and over again. Like, of course her friends are going to show up and just be like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the most normal thing that happened was when Anna Kendrick's character is like, so when is she going to be showing? Like, of course everyone thinks she's pregnant. She's an 18-year-old getting married. She's 18 years old.
I know, exactly. Well, and as it turns out, everyone was right. She was pregnant within a week.
The math on that little vamp human hybrid baby. Wild.
But yeah, I mean, it is as if she has been like sucked into a cult.
Yes.
No, it's exactly
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. And now they've really got her because she's got this. Well, now she's a vampire, so that's a problem. But she's
I
got
mean,
this
they've got her
vampire
fully,
baby.
but
Did it ever get answered? Because I remember everyone asking, "Can this happen? Can this happen? Is this the only time this has ever?" Like, it strikes me as this must happen a lot,
you would
especially
think.
especially since all the vampires we've seen are all hot. Like every single one of them.
But I like how they were like Googling it on the internet. Like when they were trying to figure out what was going to happen, all the vampires were just on the computer Googling.
Well, I mean, I feel like for a group of people who have allegedly been around for hundreds of years, they know shamefully little about the cultural history of their people.
You think there might have been a bit of a warning too, like you guys are going on your honeymoon, have a good time, but just remember that you should probably find something else extracurricular to do because you could have a hybrid baby that could kill Bella.
Or at the very least, have you ever heard of protection?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe vampire sperm melts condoms. I don't know. Maybe it would have been a harder problem. Or like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. But the idea that there was one possible outcome and that was it. I felt, oh God, I felt somehow, and I don't want to give Stephanie Meyer this credit, but I felt somehow like Twilight has made the current situation possible.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm not giving her that credit, but I was mad as hell. I was just watching this movie. I was like, damn it.
Yes.
This is crap.
There's a good point here in our show notes, though, not the show notes, sorry, in our outline, just about that Twilight changed Hollywood with girl power. And because this was a show for girls or for women. And boy, I feel disappointed reading that too. I just really...
Yeah, well, I mean, just to expand on that, they meant that it led to other sort of franchises centered around female characters because Hollywood realized that these kinds of franchises could make money. And so it led to Jennifer Lawrence in The Hunger Games in 2012, Shailene Woodley in the Divergent films in 2014, and then they tack on also Disney's Brave in 2013 and Frozen.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I really enjoyed all the Hunger Games movies, to be honest. So
I think I only saw the first Hunger Games movie.
I was so hungry, I ate all of them.
I remember enjoying it.
But yeah, it was just like, Hollywood started making franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't say that's a terrible thing, but I guess I wish it was just better. I just wish this was better. It's like so many things. You just see the potential, and then why did it have to become so gross and so creepy and so misogynistic? I feel like what we're doing in this particular episode of the podcast is asking a lot of questions, and there are no answers to them. There are no answers.
Well, because none of the answers are satisfying. Like, the answer is, this is what the franchise was always about.
Uh-huh.
And it shows its whole butt in this moment.
Well, and I mean, I think it's not a coincidence that Stephanie Meyer served as a producer on this film.
Yeah, like she had a vision and she executed it.
I mean, she had to be right. I mean, I would have loved to have done one of those exit interviews to ask people, what did you like about this? Like, let's be serious here. Let's talk about this. Let's really get down to it. And I'd be curious to hear what they'd say.
One of the things that you put in the outline, Andrea, I'm very curious, like, because Christine Seifert wrote about Twilight as abstinence porn in Bitch magazine. R.I.P. Bitch, miss you. And she says, like, quote, such disappointment suggests something about the desire readers have for abstinence messages. It may also suggest readers' belief that pre-sex, Edward and Bella were the perfect couple. In reality, the abstinence message, wrapped in the genre of abstinence porn, objectifies Bella in the same ways that real porn might. The Twilight books conflate Bella losing her virginity with the loss of other things, including her sense of self and her very life. And I'm curious about this reading. So, if Christine is specifically referencing the books, I can't speak to the books because I haven't read them. Because I kind of think of this, I've always thought of Bella has, from the beginning, wanted to have sex with Edward.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has been a relatively consistent message. And so I've never necessarily, I think this series punishes her for wanting to have sex, which maybe that spins, maybe that makes it seem like a pro-abstinence. I think the movie itself has a pro-abstinence spin, but Bella herself wants to have sex. And so I think that there's a tension there that's one of the only interesting things to me in the entire franchise is that, and then we get this movie where, there's the two sisters are having this constant fight about fetus versus baby and what do you call it and stuff. And Bella is adamant that she will give up her life in order to have this child, regardless of how it is literally killing her from the inside. And obviously Edward and Jacob are being ridiculous as well, thinking that they have any say in it. And then we have to have a whole dialogue about Edward being so mad that they're a couple and they're supposed to be a partnership and she gets to make this choice on her own and he has no say in it. Again, there's a lot of messy messaging in this film that is all awful and terrible. But weirdly enough, I've never really necessarily thought of the movies as being pro-abstinence. I think they're anti-Bella and anti-women. You know what I mean? It's...
Never mind having to see her suck on straws full of blood. I
liked that part. I'm not really a horror gore person, but I do find the actual the grossness of the final 15 minutes really matches the sort of metaphorical grossness of the entire film. I would rather watch blood and guts gore in that way than have seen the rest of the film. If the whole film was just that 15 minutes, what a mercy.
I did not see that coming. I did not see that. I thought this has been a relatively, blood-free show, really, in the weird ways that it's vampires and werewolves.
So, do they explain how the Cullens have private island money? I understood that they were very wealthy because
it's in the Fast and the Furious where they go from being simple hijackers to
private planes,
world, espionage experts with
space.
Private planes and go to space.
Yeah.
The Cullens have an escalation of financial success.
I think real estate would be definitely something they invested in the 1800s. And
for sure. You know what?
It's
vampire colonizer money. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I was going to note too, something that I noticed this. I'm watching it this time that was also deeply awful and uncomfortable was this idea that the indigenous people were this pack of wild animals roaming the woods, and these rich white people were trapped in their homes and afraid to come out of their houses.
Oh, it's so racist. This whole franchise is so racist, and it's so frustrating. And they're hiring more indigenous actors in this one, which is a small mercy. The woman who plays Leah, she's great, I think. And she's also the lead in the Dexter reboot that they did. And she's honestly the best part of the Dexter reboot. So I was happy to see her and what she brings to the film. But yeah, this movie is so racist. It's gross.
Yeah, just the extra layer on top of the
Well,
Sunday
yeah, like not
is.
even considering like this movie makes over $700 million, and again, like the Quileute tribe sees nothing. Like
Has there been
no,
any apologies?
no,
No,
nothing.
nothing. Hey,
Never. They've had like their name used on merchandise, like unlicensed merchandise and stuff like that. And
That's horrible.
yeah.
I don't want to give this less time than it deserves, but I also want to just circle back for a second to Lisa. You said you didn't see this coming.
Oh yeah, sorry. I cut you off there.
I would just love to spend a couple of seconds with you, just being in like your eyes. Give us your impressions of like when you started to see. When did you know it was going to go weird?
Well, yeah. So when she was starting to look thinner and thinner and thinner, and then we brought in the bags of blood from the hospital or wherever they were getting those, and then we actually had to see the blood going up the straw, and we had to see the blood around her mouth, and we had to have her go. I was starting to get a bit of an inkling.
Yeah.
But then when the labor started and the shots all started getting crazy and everyone's yelling, get it out, I was not like expecting that gross scene there. And those constant shots over her body and her sickly legs. And like I said,
teenage boys doing the birthing.
Yeah, it just
cesarean.
It just went so quickly all of a sudden from a film that was pretty slow and boring up to that point. I mean,
yeah, ratchets up to like 1,000 all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, whatever was going on outside with the wolves and that whole business, it didn't even come close to what this all of a sudden became, like the shocking, grotesque movie. And the fact that then she becomes beautiful again when she's dead is also very creepy.
Did you love how her cheeks fill out and it literally becomes like a weird Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
Like
it's like she took a trip to Sephora all of a sudden and got a makeover and just called it a day.
This is why all the vampires are beautiful. Especially when they don't have to have bad blonde dye jobs. They just get to be sort of like living in the fullness of their peak healthiest selves, even if they have apparently sort of died and been reborn at a horrifically ill point in their lives. That vampire venom just restores. It's like the elixir of life.
Yeah, I was just shocked and numbed, really. I think another word, nauseous and then numbed. Just, from moments where I found myself nodding off because I was bored to, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, when they're like sort of at the sort of tipping point where her body breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
Honestly, it was when Edward dove in with mouth open to rip open the body so he could the cesarean. I think he helped rip her open for the cesarean, or I can't remember why he had to dig in there, but
well, because he had to like inject venom or something.
No, but that he did that like Uma Thurman style from Pulp Fiction. Like that was a sternum sort of.
Oh
cracker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, he dug in there with his teeth, I believe, to rip open her stomach so that they could get the baby out. And
you see,
even though the Cullens creepily have like a fully equipped surgical
and
room.
a doctor and an actual doctor
in scalpels everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's
so
got to
creepy.
go in teeth first.
I know, like they sent the wrong person out. The doctor should have stayed.
Yeah, why
home.
did the doctor not
No
stay?
kidding.
Like there's like what, 5 or 6 people around? Like,
well, also just like how they like so suddenly everyone's in the room and then suddenly no one except Edward and Jacob remain.
Yeah.
And
the cesarean
like some modesty
experts.
people. Come on.
They're just gonna like force this triangle down our throats until
Again,
Renesmee.
Jacob, you don't have to be there. This is not your
this
business.
is not your
Like,
business, not your baby.
It's totally
You hate
fine
these
for you to
people.
just walk away. Walk away.
You need to move on. You need to move
But-
on.
No, okay. So when he imprinted on creepy Renesmee, what were your thoughts?
A horror again. Just complete. I thought, okay, another wave of nausea. Like, that really disgusted me. It really,
Yeah.
really actually disgusted me.
It's horrifying.
It is. It's horrifying. It didn't even make me want to laugh. I just thought, like, I was pinching that crease between my eyes and squinting, going, are you kidding? Another layer of this creepiness. Like, it just,
Yeah.
like, no autonomy for this girl again. Like, whatever. No. She's done for. She's and she's probably going to grow up calling him Uncle Jacob. It's going to be really creepy.
She is an object claimed from day one, and it is not great. And did we oversell the creepiness of the Renesmee doll?
No, you did not. No, you did not. And that name, Renesmee, is...
I know.
Did it take off? Are there Renesmees?
Oh, I bet there are Renesmees.
Like, I bet there are Renesmees.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I bet there's Renesmees for sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who has a cousin whose name is Bacardi. People will name their kids anything.
Bacardi. Wow.
And it's from rum. It's not...
Yeah, okay.
It's not like she knew Cardi B was coming. It's Bacardi from the bottle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots to think about.
I mean, this is truly the most horrible Halloween movie we could have watched.
Agreed. It wasn't good, and it was just horrific. And is this where I hope
it's also like horrific to know it made so much money and it was so popular?
Oh God!
You know what?
That's like that cherry on top.
Do you know what the really horrific thing is? There's one more part.
Yeah, you get more Renesmee.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
More Renesmee. No. I don't remember the last film at all right now, so I mean, I guess like at least finally Bella's a vampire.
She's got her dream, so that's done. That's done.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess more Michael Sheen too, so that's not so bad.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
That final minute he doesn't do as much eye acting in that final minute, but he still does a pretty good. There's a pretty good presence.
Well, I'm excited to watch this final minute that I missed, but also not. So,
yeah, I'm gonna say that this does not pop.
No pops.
No, it doesn't. And
yeah,
is it the worst of the series so far for everybody?
I don't think so. I still think 2 is worse. Because at least with this, there's something sort of. I mean, it's terrible and it's horrible. But at least it has some, at least like the horror and the action at the end of it is interesting mildly. I feel like number 2 is just so boring.
I felt this movie was so boring until
the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, then it's not so boring.
I think the 15 minutes sort of doesn't save it, but it makes it better than number 2.
Better than number 2. Sorry.
Actually, to be fair, I have had more satisfying number 2s for sure than this movie, but it was just sitting there. I had to. I'm sorry.
It was just sitting there.
Yep.
Sorry.
We love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Would Lisa, you like to go first?
Okay, so I'm kind of cheating on this one. So I don't know. I'll have to be more honest next week and tell you if I highly recommend it. But I'm just saying I'm super excited. I have tickets already tomorrow to see Julia Roberts and George Clooney in Ticket to Paradise. And I've just got to say, everyone keeps saying it's back to rom-com form. I know we always say that. I've never needed a rom-com more, especially after we've subjected ourselves to this for 4 weeks. I am very excited. I will report back. So I guess it's like a half recommendation. Maybe part of me is just like, oh, go see it. and then we can get more rom-coms. But we'll see. I'm very excited. I will report back.
Excellent.
I'm glad to
AG.
see Julia Roberts back in a rom-com.
Right?
Me too.
And George Clooney, who doesn't want to see George Clooney in a rom-com?
They have good chemistry.
They have great chemistry, yeah.
Yep, they're fun together. So fingers crossed.
I'm going to recommend a fun movie I watched called The Witches. I thought it would be good for Halloween. The 1990 version with Angelica Houston.
Oh,
Yay.
the Roald Dahl, right?
Roald Dahl,
Yeah.
story about a coven of witches who tries to rid England of all children. And so
Great book, great movie.
yeah. It's it's a bit dated with some like fat phobia and stale jokes and whatnot, but it's like, just like a good nostalgia watch. And it's a classic Angelica Houston, so I would recommend it. I haven't seen the newer one with Anne Hathaway, but
No, I haven't
either.
No.
Yeah.
But I love Angelica Houston so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And I used to love The Witches when I was younger. I'm going to recommend something totally different. It's just feel good loveliness. But the Great Canadian Baking Show is back. And I love it so much. And I love the hosts. I love the cast this year is great.
I heard that there's someone from Tawasin on this show.
Yeah,
There
that's
sure
true.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like 20 years old. She's like so young and she's so talented.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She was written about in the Delta Optimist, which I read at my parents' house, but like she's not, of course, allowed to say how she did. But,
Yeah. of
But the whole
course.
town's excited.
They should be. She's great. she's repping really well. I love the show. You can watch it on CBC Gem, and it's just, from everything I've heard about the monstrosity that was the Great British Bake Off's Mexican Week, and what a racist nightmare that turned into.
I heard that.
The Great Canadian Baking Show is just the absolute opposite of that, and it's delightful. Alan and Anne as co-hosts, really, they've just done so well.
They're great.
They're great, and the casting is so good, and great stuff.
Good one.
So, thank you everyone for sticking with us through this Twilight
Trauma.
excursion, this Twilight trauma journey.
We're almost at the end.
We're almost
so
at the
close.
end. Yeah.
We're so close, and I mean, I really have enjoyed revisiting it with you guys.
Oh,
Like,
I
it's
think.
been-
Well, I mean, I'm just visiting, but I haven't revisited.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's nice to be able to like try and process it, a decade after the fact. I like that. So, you could, if you'd like, rate and review us 5 stars, and you could also hang out with us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You could email us at popthiscollective if there's something that you would love to see us look at in the weeks ahead, particularly because we're coming up really close on our 7th anniversary.
Yeah.
We started this podcast in November of 2015,
Jesus.
and it is now coming up to November 2022.
We were so young when we started.
Yeah.
We were babies, just babies. And
You're like little Renesmee.
it was just, each of us was our own little Renesmee. Choke on that, everyone. Okay.
And thank you, Andrea Gin, for being our co-host and producer here. 7 years. You guys.
I know.
guys.
Don't get nostalgic yet.
Okay, I won't.
We've got a couple
I'm holding
weeks,
the tears
but-
in. I'm holding them in.
Yep.
Holding them
Yep.
in. Okay.
Tuck 'em back.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.